Hello, you're watching WNBA Courtside. It is WNBA Finals time. I'm here with Finals Kaunda Chama and Nthabiseng Mushi. Welcome, team. We are missing Nthabiseng this week, but we know she's with us in spirit because we're going to be talking about some of her favorite players. Kaunda, you good?
I'm good. I'm better than Russell Westbrook.
Oh, nice. Picking fights with people who just aren't around. Nthabiseng, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thanks, Cyrus. How are you?
Oh man, I'm so excited. I mean, it's WNBA Finals time. This is it. The ladies have been playing so hard just to get to this. It's all about what happens. It's championship time. The coaches are ready. The teams are ready. It was a war. Kaunda, we were watching and paying pretty close attention to the Aces and Connecticut Sun series, and then for that to go 5 games, and then that game 5 itself was absolutely insane. What did you think of that series?
Cyrus, that series was beautiful because obviously, personally, I'll admit it, at the beginning of the season, I didn't see the Suns going far. You know, I was looking at their composition and thinking, hey, they're going to really pull off a miracle here. They're going to go strong, really, to make it even into the playoffs. And there they were in the playoffs. And then they started beating people that I love.
That sounds like a horror movie. And then they started beating people that I love.
I was looking around and saying, these Suns though. But you know, Cyrus, when you love good basketball, you celebrate all victories, right? Unless you're very much attached to who's getting vanquished. But look, the Connecticut Sun put up a great regular season, great postseason performance. There had to be only one winner, and I think the Aces have been feeling themselves, Cyrus, this postseason, and you know, making it that high up, you know, in the seedings, just getting into the postseason. I think they want it. I mean, I don't even want to say it's a pity the Seattle Storm are that strong, but you know, let's not count them out yet. But the Las Vegas Aces fancy themselves champions this year. This season,
no, they do. That's why, I mean, they fought hard. They were the number 1 seed going into it all. And then they ended up facing a Connecticut Sun team who were doing some remarkable stuff. And I mean, that game, Nthabiseng, you know, when you look at it, Connecticut gave them such a run for their money, and they played so well in the playoffs. And then, you know, to sort of come so close, they only lost by 3 points in that final game. Now, Alyssa Thomas was just phenomenal, and this is somebody who their powers of recovery are insane, because she'd had a shoulder issue, then hurt her shoulder, then came back from that hurt shoulder to put in some crazy performances. Do you think that the Sun were unlucky in Nthabiseng, or do you think that the Aces just managed to find that next level?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think, based on the performance that we've seen with the Suns starting in the beginning of the season, I wasn't feeling them myself. I never saw them getting this far. But Alyssa Thomas kept kicking ass, and she was just doing the best that she could. And then with that shoulder injury, that was a misfortune on their part. But I cannot not congratulate the Aces for where they are. I mean, I've been rooting for them since the beginning of the season, and even when we came at them with, oh, they don't have shooters, they don't have this, they don't have these pieces, they showed up, and for them to be in the position that they are at without the Liz Cambages and all of them, it just shows how much character and how much Bill actually worked to getting these girls where they are, and why A'ja Wilson is the MVP that she is. So it is a little bit of both. They are unlucky because they did have a stellar performance postseason. That is the Suns, but the Aces just showed up, and they just showed the out, and they deserve to be where they are.
Yeah. Now, I agree with you totally, especially when I think of just how good Angel McCoughtry was. You know, when you get a veteran on your team, somebody who's just, they've got that will, they've got that fire in them. Angel didn't. She was having running battles with Alyssa Thomas. Nobody's getting Christmas cards between those two. But I do think that what happens is, oh man, it got testy. It got testy. But then every single time, Angel just put her head down. I was like, you know what? I've got to work. I've got to take this game to them. And she was one of the real reasons why the Aces came out. I mean, to win by 3 points in a game 5, that's a really close game. Asia Wilson, the
Absolutely.
MVP this season, she was just doing incredible work. So, when you look at that series, you think, okay, fine, the Aces were really put through the ringer and really tested. But then on the opposite side, you had the Seattle Storm, who cruised past the Minnesota Lynx. I mean, sweep, a sweep. It's not necessarily unheard of, but you didn't expect that. Now, Kaunda, do you think that means the Storm are in a far better position than most people had given them credit for, especially when they fell as the second seed just before the playoffs started?
Look, Cyrus, I think I might have said this before, either on the show or to myself. I can't remember. But the Seattle Storm looked like they were pacing themselves. That's why I didn't feel at the time when they had the final games to determine the final seedings that they were really going to push that hard to say, okay, then we want to come out on top. They've always seemed to me like a team that knows. They know their own strength, and they will play to that strength. So if they need to engage, to drop a gear or two, they will, because they know what they're playing the long game. They know what their ultimate goal is, and that's another championship. And I think that's what the Seattle Storm. That's the kind of team they are. And Minnesota, Minnesota this season hasn't been the strongest Minnesota you've seen. Obviously they have some brilliant backcourt talent. Sylvia Fowles is a great frontcourt talent, but still, if you look around at some of the pieces they've lost and some of the vets they've lost, like when they lost Simone Augustus, to me, I thought that was an integral part of their team, and obviously Maya Moore has been gone for a while. But still, I think they missed that talent in Maya Moore. And I suppose also when Lindsay Whalen left, it also left a gap there. So I think they're a team that's it's in a rebuild stage. And for them to have gotten this far, and for them to have gotten this far, Cyrus and Nthabi, it goes to show that they have got talent and they can come back to their glory days if they time it right and they get the right pieces and they get that chemistry back.
That's the best point that you made, that if they get the right pieces, then they will be a better team than they were right now, even with losing Sylvia Fowles. Whether she comes back or not next season, we'll still see. But I think you made a very valid point. If they get the right pieces, and say Maya by next spring decides that she's coming back, and then they get a very a top recruit, then we can see a different Lynx next season.
They had the rookie of the year in their squad, Crystal Dangerfield, and she was just phenomenal. So they're really onto something. When you look at Nafisa Collier and just how far she's come, they've got the pieces to really get back to the very top. And obviously, Cheryl Reeve being the coach there, you can see just how well drilled they are and what a great unit they are. But this isn't about them, because they got knocked out. They got knocked out.
Enough participation trophy stories.
These are the people who are going to be one of the peeps that we keep focusing on. And this is the Aces. I just love this card. When you look at it, there's the playing Aces that are out there, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens in the WNBA Finals. So let's go straight into what we expect to see when the Aces take on the Seattle Storm. We've got the schedule here, and when you look at the schedule itself, we're starting with almost a back-to-back. So this Saturday morning here in Africa, 1 in the morning actually, game 1, and then Sunday evening, really early, great time for us in the African continent, is game 2. That's at 9 p.m. And then, potentially if one of the teams is running away with it, game 3 could be the final game of that series. But then we do have other games to look forward to. Now, Nthabiseng, when I look at the Aces versus Storm, and I think of it in terms of, okay, fine, who could potentially come out on top here, I have to remember one thing. The Aces swept the Storm during the regular season. They beat them in both of the clashes that they played. Do you think that will play a part in how this series could go?
I don't think so, and here's why. Because I don't think the Aces are coming in with the mentality that we swept them and we'll sweep them this time around. It's a completely different ball game right now. It was in the beginning of the season where people were still a little ashy and things like that. And I think going into this game, knowing who Bill Laimbeer is as a player and as a coach, I highly doubt that the girls are going to go into this thinking they're going to sweep them. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a really tight competition, I believe. And I'm still rooting for the Aces. As much as I like the Storm, I think the Aces, they want to bring a chip. They want to bring a chip too. I know, and really, I don't. I mean, I like the Storm a lot, but I'm not gonna Debbie down.
You got your principles.
Yeah.
You got your principles. The Aces have been your team, and I think that's the right way to do it. Now, Kaunda, you know, and I know that we've been looking forward to seeing this matchup, right? Where you've got the current MVP in Asia Wilson taking on Breanna Stewart. You know, I think she's MVP 2 seasons ago, and one of my all-time favorites. Now, Kaunda, do you think the Storm look at this and say, all of the previous stuff didn't count? You know, you might have beaten us twice this season, but in the last game of the season, we didn't have Breanna Stewart. And in that first game you beat us, we didn't have Sue Bird. They should be fit for this clash. Do you think the Storm are thinking, this is our time?
Cyrus, I know Nthabi said the regular season will have no impact, but I beg to differ with Nthabi because it's going to have a negative impact on the Aces because the Storm are coming out for revenge. And I think... correct me if I'm wrong. The States, you guys are going into winter, right?
Yeah.
Slowly. So revenge is a dish best served cold.
Cold. Nice. Nice, Kaunda. The cheese is strong with you.
The cheese is... I got everything. Cheddar, mozzarella. The Storm are out for vengeance. I'm telling you this. The Aces need to have their I's dotted, their T's crossed. I'm telling you, they got Stewie back, Sue Bird looking nice.
Alicia
Clark. I'm telling you, Alicia Clark. The Storm are out there saying, okay, what was regular season was regular season. Now let us show you what this wobble's about, you know. And I think it's going to have that kind of effect.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. But you making it seem like these girls are going to come into this game thinking that they're going to wash the Storm. They're not going to come into the game thinking that. I don't think they're going to even pay attention to what happened in the regular season. This is a completely different side of the Aces that you're going to see this time around. And you keep seeing it game after game after game, even when people are writing them off based on the pieces that they have. Even during the Connecticut Suns...
the
series. People did not think that they were going to make it based on how Connecticut was playing. But they kept coming back, and they will come back. They will come back. I'm saying it right now, okay? They will come back, and they're going to show out. You'll see.
And tell me, this is the Storm. I mean, when Stu gets
I'm
going...
I'm with Kay.
When Sue gets cooking, when Jordan Canada gets frying, need I continue?
You could name them all, but I agree with you here, and I think this is the thing for me. I've been a Storm fan for the last couple of seasons. I just absolutely love the way they play. Breanna Stewart is one of the great WNBA players, and we can already see she's a Hall of Famer. You know, like she's going to be one of those where, in time to come, we're going to be saying, "Man, I remember when we were watching Breanna Stewart take down teams." I do think that the Storm are set up to win this championship. This is their 4th finals in I'm not sure how many years. But the thing about it is that when you look at just how Sue Bird has played well, and she's also tried to bring some of the other younger players into the mix as well to learn from her. And then when you also see just how focused the Storm are, there's really been that series against the Lynx said to me that they were ready to fight for every single point. They won game 1 like a buzzer beater, and it just never stepped back from there. So I think this is a Storm series, but it's one of those where it might go to 4 games. I don't know if it'll go to 5 games, because perhaps the work that the Aces had to do in the semis might come to become a problem for them. And Nthabiseng, you know how the legs can get very heavy when you got to play game 5s.
But let's not forget this, right? And you mentioned the legs may get a little heavy, right? And so you have old heads like Sue, and Sue can still ball whether legs are heavy or not, right? But you look at Angel McCoughtry. This is vintage Angel that we're seeing right now. She's got a point to prove that she's back. Don't play with her. Dream decided to get rid of her, and now she's gotten picked up by what will be a championship team in the Las Vegas Aces. So I do not think that. And remember, both teams have young players. So you do have a young bench for both sides. As much as the Aces, you know, they're a little skeleton-y when it comes to their bench, but the sixth man that comes off of the bench is still a great performer. And so we will see a different matchup, I think. And so game 2 will be a deciding factor on where this is going to go, in my opinion.
Kaunda, do you agree with that?
Look, Nthabi's got hope, and I love it because you know she's out there in Vegas, you know, Russian rouletting everything, you know, it's so good. But I know when you've got the likes of Natasha Howard, hopefully she's healthy for the series. One of the best defensive players in the WNBA that I've watched personally. You know, I think there's a lot to be done on the defensive side in these games as well, but the youngsters at the Storm, your Jewel Loys, your Jordan Canada, even Sue Bird, not Sue Bird, sorry, even Stewie. Stewie's not that old. She's one of the youngsters if you look at it. So you know they've got a lot of young talent, and you know they've got fresher legs coming off the semis, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, if I was asked to pick right now, I'd call it Storm in 4.
Storm in 4.
Storm in 4.
Yeah.
Storm in 4. I think that's actually what I'm going for. Maybe I'll go for Storm in 4 as well. Because do I think this will be a 5-game series? I don't think so. So I think I'm also going Storm in 4. You're saying Aces in?
Aces in 5.
Aces in 5.
Aces in 7.
Listen, you know what I was thinking about?
You'll need the extra 2 games.
Listen, I feel like the Storm are gonna come in like my Boston Celtics, too fresh off of the resting. Boston Celtics, when they're well rested, they are trash, and I hate to say that. And so we will see what's gonna happen. And I'm a Celtics fan, so I'm allowed to say that.
I get you. We must also mention that we do have an African player in this WNBA Finals. That's Ezi Magabo, whose parents are from Nigeria. She plays for Australia, and so that's going to be really interesting to see how she, you know, acclimatizes. She's only 21, and so she doesn't really get large minutes, but she is an important part of this. And I think that, you know, it's great to see Africa being represented on that stage as well. Now, we've given our predictions on what's going to happen in the WNBA Finals. There's one last topic that I want to touch on briefly before we end the show, and it has to do with Candace Parker and the controversy around her not being named on any of the all-defensive teams, even though she is the Defensive Player of the Year. Kaunda, what do you make of this?
Mary J. Blige once said,
well, it's interesting. So you think this is a hateration?
She is what? The Defensive Player of the Year, and then she doesn't make a defensive team?
Neither the first or the second.
That's like telling me Giannis doesn't make any of the All-NBA teams.
All-NBA teams, yeah.
And he's a Defensive Player of the Year and the MVP. Like, I know she's not the MVP, but if you're defending that well, how are you
surely
not?
If Lee was here, you're handing out participation.
Exactly.
Which is the fact.
I'm gonna go very controversial here, and this sounds like the time Isaiah Thomas wasn't put in the dream team. That's all I'm saying.
Well, one of the things that's come up is that people have spoken about the fact that for the all-defensive teams, those are picked by the coaches. The Defensive Player of the Year is picked by the media. Now, Nthabiseng, do you think that perhaps there's a disconnect between what the media sees and what the coaches see? Because I saw something online, and maybe this was the hateration in the dancery, where some of the players might have have thought that Candace Parker was the overrated player of the year.
Wow, that's
hella spicy, hella spicy. That's not my opinion. That's not my opinion. But I do think, though, that there must be. I mean, to have such a great disconnect that the media have said Candace Parker is the defensive player of the year, and for all of the coaches not to be able to put her on any one of the teams. And tell you, I mean, what do you think that could be about?
We've seen this in the NBA too, where there's a discrepancy between media and coaches, and now it's translating with the WNBA. Do I think Candace Parker deserves to be Defensive Player of the Year? Nah, I don't think so, and that's why she. Hey. I'm just saying, right?
No need to touch Kaunda like that. I mean, I think his ancestors woke up there.
I know. The reason why the coaches put those players in those positions was because they saw that there's a player among those two, the first team and second team, on who deserves to be better, the DOP. So for me, I think that the media is just pulling a fast one on this one. I'm sorry. As me being part of the media, I think you guys are pulling a fast one on this one. I'm so sorry.
You guys.
Wow.
I must say, you know, so the next...
I think Nthabiseng mixed the Gatorade. She was there, the Kool-Aid jug, mixing it with the coaches.
We're going to have to see. Because she said in one of her posts, she's on the beach, she's untroubled. You know, unworried, unbothered. So I think that, you know,
she didn't deserve it, and I like
it. Okay, in Nthabiseng, I mean, you are going for the jugular here.
Okay,
but I think that before we put Kaunda into like a catatonic coma or something, let's leave that topic where it stands. Thank you everybody for being on the show, and Nthabiseng, thank you as always for your input and also your controversial statements. Finals K. Anything to add before we depart?
Big shout out to Cyrus Rogers who published his first book. I keep going back to it. You said published author right there. Published author right there. Big shout out to Cyrus Rogers, man. Well done, brother. We're all proud of you, and wishing you much success. Can't wait for the second edition.
Well, let's get the first edition of Competitive Edge. Let's get it into people's hands. But thank you so much, everybody. And this has been WNBA Courtside. Enjoy the WNBA Finals. They are going to be spectacular. We love basketball on this show.